what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got my FMS Super Cub 1300mm. I got some monster truck tires on this bad boy. Check these things out. I literally went to the hobby shop and I was looking for airplane wheels. They didn't have any, so I saw these and I said, that'll work. So yeah, the plan is to take this up today and try these things out, see how they do. The environment they're gonna be in is kind of a mix of gravel in the parking lot and really, really rough, kind of like sloped, hilly terrain out that way. There's a lot of little twigs and bumps and branches and that kind of stuff. So I'm really curious to see how this plane does. Also, the stock ones, I noticed that after a bunch of hard landings, I'm not gonna say they broke right away because they didn't. I've been beating the shit out of this plane for 2 or 3 months now, just landing after landing after landing. I don't even really fly this one around. I just kind of take off and land it because it's really fun to land a bush plane. So after a couple months of that, the rims on the pneumatic tires it comes with actually cracked, and I was able to temporarily kind of patch it up. I deflated the tires all the way. I like wrapped it in some tape to hold the compression, and then I put some E6000 around the rim. That seemed to help for a while, but then when I took it out last time, it cracked it again and they're leaking again. So, short story long, these monster truck tires are not pneumatic. They're actually just a rubber with like a foam insert for a, typical RC monster truck. So I shouldn't have to worry about any leaking issues. Really, the question is, as it always is with these RC cars, will the tire come off the rim? That used to happen all the time when I drove on-road cars. We'll see if it happens here. Woo, look at that sign over there. That's a big heavy metal sign and that is blowing around like a leaf. This is not really a great day to be flying. It's really, really windy and it's not like a straight consistent wind. It's really gusty. So I'm kind of not looking forward to that. It's probably not going to be that much fun, but I do want to test out these tires. And what better way to start that than with a shitty takeoff? I realized pretty quick here that the GoPro added a lot of weight and it made it sketchy. And with that being said, I wanted to do a little bit of a slower, lower pass to just see how it handled to make sure it didn't have any weird stall characteristics. And it wasn't too bad, even with the extreme wind here. Then of course I had to try and land, and it looked alright at first. I had a good roll there and then I bounced and kind of messed it up. But how did I handle from grass? Well, it took off pretty well. It wasn't too bad, even considering that super bumpy, rough terrain. So I was pretty happy with that, and you notice really right away, as soon as you turn downwind, you pick up about 20 miles an hour in ground speed. That's how you know it's a windy day. But wind and all, we had to try another landing, see if I could redeem myself for that last one with the super bouncy stuff. Coming in nice and slow, good approach, and a few little bobbles here and there, but at least I kept it straight. And believe me, on this day, that's a lot easier said than done with the huge rudder on this plane. But now it's time for another takeoff. Let's see if we can make this one better. First of all, you notice it's a lot straighter, but I barely cleared that fence, just got over the thing. And here's where you really start to see the gusty wind conditions. Even with Hypersmooth maxed all the way out on the plane, it's still really choppy and bumpy. You can see it again here as I do a little bit of a higher speed low pass. It's just bobbly and bouncy, it's just not smooth, it just doesn't look pretty in the air. And now that I've landed on the gravel a couple times, can I land on the grass too? Well, not really. I kind of caught an edge on the wheel, didn't quite plant it quite right, and it kind of veered off to the right there. Terrible, terrible landing. Woo, man, that battery's hot. I destroyed that thing. That's the second one of those I've done today. I really need to be more careful on this throttle. I have my timer set for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is usually good for the type of flying that I do, but I've been flying a little bit faster today because there's all this wind. I gotta keep my throttle up, but unfortunately that just murders the batteries. Well, these are still holding up good. They haven't popped off. I was kind of worried because there's just a little like circular clip holding these on. That was stock. But yeah, I killed that battery and that's what that beeping is. I gotta be a little bit more careful because I was maybe 15 feet above the ground when that happened. Not too impressed with this Venom thing. This thing puffed like right away when I got it. Now the puffing on a LiPo is something that can happen when you charge too fast or you drain it too fast, or you don't store it properly. So that can affect the puffiness of it, but I'm usually really, really good with my batteries. I don't really torch them too often, especially with airplane batteries. With quads, yeah, sure, but not with airplanes. I'm pretty good to those. And then on the other side of the charger, this is the other pack I got today, this really, really old Tower Hobbies 3S 2200. I have had this thing longer than any battery I own, and it's not puffy at all. The performance is still pretty dang good for being so old. That's got to be pushing 7 years old at this point. I've had that thing forever. So hey, respect to Tower Hobbies. You guys make a great battery. You probably don't make it yourself, but whoever you buy it from, at least at the time, pretty good. And as you guys know, here at Probability FPV, we don't like to do things the normal way. So I got a GoPro facing the back of the plane this time. I've never done this. I thought it'd be kind of cool, and gotta admit, it kind of is. I don't know, it's just something about that different perspective, seeing the elevator work, seeing the rudder throw a little bit. And you know, when I put the flaps down, you can even see that too. It's just kind of a cool, new, unique perspective. And especially things on like this landing here, it's just you don't see that too often. It kind of encapsulates the nice slow glide slope down to a landing a little bit better than the forward-facing camera. At least that's what I think. And really it's the same thing with takeoffs. It kind of gives a good new feeling to it. It's not just over in 1 second like you with your first girlfriend. And here's what I really wanted to see. I really wanted to see how this looked with a bunch of grassy crap and mounds and stuff rolling by the plane as it landed. And it did not disappoint. This is pretty cool looking. And you know what? That was so much fun, I wanted to do another one. So coming in here right over the sign, kind of choppy, kind of wobbly, and have a big bounce there, terrible landing, and kind of flipped at 90 degrees. Not my best work for sure. Luckily it was okay, but I did want to try something a little bit new here, and that is rock crawling with an RC plane. Not something you'd typically think of doing, but because I have these massive tires on here and the prop is already beat up, I don't really care what happens to it. And even with the lower battery, this is further along in the pack, it actually does pretty damn well crawling across this objectively shitty, rough terrain. That branch I just passed there, that thing is massive. It goes halfway up the plane. That's like running over a tree to a full-scale plane. But how does it do in the gravel? Well, turns out it does pretty good still. Every here and there you get hung up on a little piece of plywood, but that's alright. We don't let that bother us too much. When in doubt, just pick it up and rotate it a little bit and try again. This one, I hit more of a square angle, you know, had a little bit better of a run up, and I was able to get right over it. No big deal. Handles this choppy brush crap like a champ, and even more of it here. This is basically just firewood that I'm driving through right now. I could not have done this with the previous tires. I mean, just look at this stuff. That is firewood you find in your fireplace or in your fire pit. That has no business being driven over by an RC plane. Pretty cool, and if I'm being honest, I really didn't expect this to work as well as it did. And this last clip here is really where I felt like an actual RC rock crawler. This is exactly the type of stuff that you do with those. You know, you kind of just get stuck on something and try to wiggle it around and work it around until you can get over it. And, you know, maybe you have to drive around, maybe you have to adjust it a little bit, but eventually you get over it. It's just such a cool feeling that you don't get too often in the RC airplane world. You guys, look at this propeller. Oh, this poor thing. It's just straight up broken off there. It's got obviously all sorts of grass and crap broken here. It's broken on both ends. I'm effectively making a smaller propeller. But this nose cone here actually is not stock. This is one I made. The hub here is PLA, and this spinner part is actually TPU. I got little thumb grips on here, and there's a heat insert in the nose to thread it onto the shaft. It actually works really, really well. Much more durable than the stock one. But man, what an incredible plane. I mean, look at this thing. These wheels, it looks so, so cool. And I think I found my new favorite thing to do with the Super Cub, as if it can't already do enough. I've always had a soft spot for Super Cubs and just the high wing, you know, slow takeoff, slow landing, huge tires. I've always had a soft spot for those. They're so much fun. And I love doing stuff like this too. You know, coming out here on a, you know, objectively pretty terrible day and just still having fun, finding a way to make it work, try something new and have fun. Today that was rock crawling with a Super Cub. I never thought I would do that before. So I guess if you guys have been thinking about putting some, you know, bigger, more durable, more grippier tires on your Super Cub, or really any RC airplane for that matter, you should definitely do it. I could do things today you guys saw. I probably couldn't do that with the stock tires. Nor would I want to, because they're just not as durable. These are way more durable and they're not really any heavier at all. But I think I'm gonna end this one now. Thank you guys for following along and watching today. This was a great time. You should definitely go try it out too. And if you enjoyed this video today, please drop me a like down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And of course, leave a comment if you want. If you have any other, you know, stupid, wild ideas to try with an airplane, definitely drop them down below in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys would like to see. But until next time, thanks again for watching. Keep ripping, keep wrecking, and keep trying stupid shit.